right. Now, the other part that I wanted to tell you about, you were talking about the devil's game and then how it causes cerebral cortex overtime for humans and participating in it or dragged into it or however it works. The other thing is that I call them fatheads, like I used to have in Marilyn Monroe's time. I had a heart-shaped face and a very wide forehead, which what it means when you are using the cortex sometimes to run a gag, right, or to map your reality of control, is there's a temporal lobe that is very large in people who have wide foreheads, those people. And they are very, very, very good at soul observance roving, because the temporal lobe, you can overhear people psychically, audibly. You can overhear what they're saying in conversation with it. So what I found out about it is mine was so active because I had such a huge forehead that I had headaches by the end of the day overhearing everybody's conversations all day long. So when I reincarnated this lifetime, I have slightly, I don't have a heart-shaped face. My jaw and my forehead is the same. So that is how that area of the brain is worked in soul observance roving. Usually in person, people will be at a party, for example, and, you know, sort of looking off and eavesdropping on other people that they can hear several feet away across the room or even in another room using the temporal lobe. So that is what that area of the brain is for. It's a very strong psychic center, and we need it. And all of us have one. And people who came to this incarnation have very wide foreheads, big craniums, and play doll with you. They're very, very observant people. They know how to rove using the cerebellum, the temporal lobes as well. They know how to play the game. And I have been watching that game for a very long time, for many lifetimes. So it's something that we do with wiring from being shy, from not wanting everybody to know what we're feeling, you know, for protecting some of that and not telling people yet, mapping it in the cerebral cortex. The only problem with it is it seems to slow down awakening if people are predisposed to it, to narcissism, to be so concerned about it that they don't evolve and grow in awakening. So, for example, if people know this who are at work in the corporate world, because they will have to stand and make a presentation. And to make the most fluid presentation from memory, you're basically delivering it from the cerebellum and into the frontal cortex and speaking from the autonomic center. And you cannot afford to be worried about how your suit looks or how you are coming across being overly self-conscious, because it slows down your communication center and the speech isn't as effective, you see? So this is where people who do that kind of work, either as executives or higher creativity or any kind of position where it uses the higher brain centers, we tend to be more advanced in communication and focus for that reason, that we use them a lot. So it's just from the work, it does that, you see. And children are mapping their cortex when we talked about kids as they're growing, but yet they're also in their autonomic a lot. If you watch them dancing around or doing any kind of sports or learning the piano or homework and memorization, and even using the kids' petit soleil camera eye, it all helps them to keep their autonomic very strong as they are creating their world in their cerebral cortex for what they accept and how they are bringing themselves into the world. And grown-ups spend too much time there. So what I would say is, and that's why they end up roving their parents who are older and as children do to grow the body. So, and then it turns into aging. So usually we drop the parents, we don't rove them very much once we grow up. We rove our soulmate, we rove people in our soul group sometimes if they're people who are creative. We rove our business directly related to us, our business partners or co-workers or so forth. We rove people's work who we read that we find highly inspiring, who we watch, if it's film, television, arts, all those types of things to evolve us. It's a different kind of brain that people in the executive world know, except they still have areas where they get stuck, where they haven't permitted full awakening. Otherwise, you wouldn't be aging. So if you look at the body of the work, believe it or not, these are all videos I wanted you to see and information before attending the Blue Matrix event. So I'm not giving it away. It's stuff that I didn't really want to take the time to have to explain because I don't have time. We have other things to cover in those first 3 events. And there is a new intensive that's coming up that is the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then 2 days of the instructor, which is then taken over a 5-day period. And you can take any one of the events you like a 1, a 1 and 2, even a 1, 2, and a 3 without the instructor or with it. So there's different things you can do, and that is on the Blue Matrix Energetics schedule that is with the event page under the blue flower on the Starlight State blog. It's there. So what that will be is, it might be once a year, that one for instructors, because I don't travel across the planet as a world touring person. What I do is I have other people who are able to fly in from different countries. Usually they take the event. If they know some English, it's the best. And I don't like translation devices. It takes too long to get through all of the material because I have to stop and wait for a translator. I don't want to do that. So people who know some English can fly in, take it, and then they can translate the whole course material into their language when they come back home and have their private practice in different countries that way. So that's how we approach it from Blue Matrix. That's how I chose to do it. And it's there for you to take, that intensive week. So it should be very exciting. As well, we will keep the calendar going that has the other events. And the pay bins are coming around the corner, they said, because there's people who really want to take the training and the work and understand what they agreed to that they did not realize, because part of their autonomic does not understand Andromedan language and technologies. Partly they are protecting themselves in the cortex not to be hurt feelings about being karmic in the next lifetime from it if it hurts their friend. And they do that to themselves, and other reasons. So they're very happy that I'm doing the videos in order to give people a chance to survive at a higher level of consciousness, which makes the Andromedans interested to work with this planet, not to subdue, oppress, or do weird things like some people were thinking or spreading around because the devil's game was hurting too many people. So it's time to let it go, they said, and to let pornography go, running anything other than its own existence, I guess, and to allow people to sit, focus, and experiment with the quantum field being made real, coming true, manifested from their own focus and hard work from the different tools that different presenters are teaching. And we weren't supposed to really be in competition. There are millions and millions of people that attend religions, and there's very, very few that were attending higher consciousness awakening tools, which religions aren't, because they're old. They're old technology. They don't really have any technology built from it. They don't have any medical equipment built from it. They don't really have any. There's plenty that can be built from Blue Matrix Energetics information if they look at the work. Plenty. And they didn't really contribute to sovereign government without having this religious guilt put on them to follow this, to do the right thing for the people, which is what most religions do. We don't do that. We give you information and say, do your best work every day from your highest inspiration of your Blue Matrix Energetics self-evolution. And that's pretty much all we did. So I think that's about all I have to say in this one. All right. So that was other information about the temporal lobes and that you do need it. And don't hate yourself if you're a big fat hit. All right. I was Frank and Marilyn last lifetime, biggest whore had known to mankind. And I was a movie star, so it doesn't matter.